Commander Vex 9's third eye twitched as he stared at the tactical display. 3,000 warships, each the size of a human city, hung in perfect formation around the pathetic blue marble called Earth. The Galactic Council had finally grown tired of humanities. Well, everything really. "Sir," his communications officer Glix chittered nervously, "the humans are broadcasting something." "Oh, wonderful! Another one of their surrender negotiations, I assume?" Vex 9's mandibles clicked in what passed for a sneer among his species. "Tell me, Glix, what earth-shattering wisdom are they sharing this time?" The bridge fell silent as a holographic image materialized above the command console. A single human female stood in what appeared to be a kitchen, wearing something the humans called pajamas, and holding a steaming cup of coffee, their primitive stimulant beverage. "Hello there," the woman said cheerfully, waving at the camera. "I'm Dr. Elena Vasquez, and I guess you're here to destroy my planet." "That's really quite rude, honestly." Sub-Commander Kret's gill slits fluttered in confusion. "Sir, our intelligence reports indicate this human female has no military rank, no weapons, and no strategic importance whatsoever." "Fascinating," Vex 9 muttered. "Continue the transmission." "Just one thing before we begin. YouTube tells me 94.3% of you watching aren't subscribed. Subscribing is free. It really supports the channel, and you'll get more amazing HFY sci-fi stories delivered straight to you. Don't miss out." Dr. Vasquez took a sip of her coffee and continued. "So, I've been watching your fleet arrangement from my backyard telescope. Lovely formation, by the way, very intimidating. And I couldn't help but notice something peculiar about your energy signatures." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Energy signatures? How could this domestic creature possibly understand their technology? "You see," Elena said, settling into a kitchen chair as if she were discussing the weather, "I'm a theoretical physicist, specializing in quantum field manipulation and dimensional mathematics. Boring stuff, really. My neighbors think I just play with equations all day." She paused, taking another sip. "Which, to be fair, I do." Admiral Thox Prime's voice crackled through the comm system from the flagship. "Commander Vex 9, why are we listening to this primate babble? Commence planetary bombardment immediately." "Wait," Elena said, as if she could hear their communications. Which, Vex 9 realized with growing unease, she probably could. "Before you turn my lovely little planet into space dust, I have a tiny, insignificant question. Did any of your brilliant military strategists happen to notice that your ships are generating a rather interesting harmonic resonance pattern?" Silence. "No?" Nobody. "Well, that's unfortunate." Elena stood up, walking toward her kitchen window. "Because, you see, when you arrange 3,000 massive objects in a geometric pattern around a gravitational well, that's my planet, in case you're confused, and then charge their weapon systems simultaneously, you create what we humans call a standing wave interference pattern." Vex 9's blood ran cold. Well, as cold as blue-green hydraulic fluid could run. "Sir," whispered Glix, "our engineering teams never calculated for—" "Shush," Elena interrupted pleasantly. "I'm explaining basic physics here. Now, this interference pattern becomes particularly problematic when it interacts with Earth's magnetic field, which, lucky for me, I've been studying for the past 15 years. She set down her coffee cup and pulled out what appeared to be a simple tablet device. "Here's the fun part," Elena continued, her voice maintaining that infuriatingly cheerful tone. "About 6 months ago, I finished building a little project in my basement. Nothing fancy, Just a quantum field manipulator powered by our local fusion reactor. You know, weekend hobby stuff. The tactical officer, a nervous Zephyrian named Chip, stammered, "Sir, our sensors are detecting massive energy buildups across the planet's surface." "Oh, that?" Elena glanced at her tablet. "That's just my network of quantum resonance amplifiers. I built them into every major city's power grid. Took forever to get the permits, honestly. Bureaucracy, am I right?" She tapped the screen casually. Every single one of Vex 9's ships simultaneously lost power. "What have you done?" Admiral Thox Prime's voice screeched through the emergency communications channel. "Well," Elena said, examining her fingernails with academic interest, "I've essentially created a quantum nullification field that targets the specific energy signature your ships use for power generation. It's really quite elegant, mathematically speaking. 3,000 of the galaxy's most advanced warships began drifting helplessly in space, their crews frantically trying to restart systems that had been fundamentally altered at the subatomic level. The beauty of this particular approach," Elena continued, as if lecturing to a university class, "is that it doesn't destroy anything. Your ships are perfectly intact. They just don't work anymore. Think of it as a very sophisticated off switch." Vex 9 found his voice. "This is impossible. Our technology is millennia ahead of your primitive civilization." "Oh, absolutely." Elena nodded enthusiastically. "Your technology is incredibly advanced. But here's the thing about us humans. We're really, really good at finding creative solutions to impossible problems. Plus, I had the advantage of 6 months to study your approach patterns and energy signatures every time you moved your fleet closer to Earth." She walked back to her coffee, taking another sip. "Did you know," she said conversationally, "that your entire species apparently never discovered coffee? That's genuinely tragic. This stuff is amazing for late-night physics calculations." On the bridge of Vex 9's flagship, chaos reigned. Officers scrambled over dead consoles, trying to restore power through increasingly desperate manual overrides. Emergency lighting cast everything in an eerie, red glow. "Sir," Kip called out, "engineering reports that the quantum nullification field is somehow self-sustaining. They can't find a way to reverse it." "That's because," Elena's voice drifted through their emergency speakers, "the field draws its power from your own ship's attempts to restart. The more you try to fight it, the stronger it becomes. It's a feedback loop. Rather poetic, don't you think?" Sub-Commander Kret managed to get the emergency communications working. "Human female. What are your demands for releasing our vessels?" Elena looked genuinely surprised. "Demands? Oh, I don't have any demands. I just want you to leave my planet alone so I can finish my research in peace. I'm working on a fascinating project involving temporal mechanics, and your invasion fleet is really quite distracting. You don't want our surrender? Our technology? Our territories?" Vex 9 couldn't comprehend what he was hearing. "Why would I want any of that?" Elena asked, looking puzzled. "I have everything I need right here. Good coffee, a decent internet connection, and a basement full of quantum field equipment. What more could a girl ask for?" The bridge crew stared at their screens in stunned silence. "Besides," Elena added, "conquering other civilizations seems like an enormous amount of paperwork. No thank you." Admiral Thox Prime's voice cut through the static. "Human! We are the Galactic Council. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. You cannot simply dismiss us." "Watch me," Elena said cheerfully. She tapped her tablet again. Suddenly, every single ship in the fleet began moving. Not under their own power. they still had none, but pushed by invisible forces that seemed to emanate from Earth itself. "I'm sending you home," Elena explained, as if moving 3,000 massive starships was as simple as shooing flies. "The quantum field will dissipate once you're outside our solar system, and your ships will function normally again. Consider it a very expensive lesson in basic manners." "This is humiliating," Thox Prime roared. "The entire galaxy will hear of this defeat." "Actually," Elena said, raising one finger, "that brings up an excellent point." She turned to face the camera directly, and for the first time, her expression grew serious. "I want to be very clear about something. This little demonstration represents about 0.01% of what I can do with this technology. I built these systems as a hobby, using equipment I assembled in my spare time, with a budget of roughly $50,000 human dollars. The temperature in the bridge seemed to drop several degrees. "Now," Elena continued, "I'm just one human. On this planet, we have roughly 8 billion people, many of whom are significantly smarter than me. We have governments with unlimited budgets, military organizations with resources I can't even comprehend, and research institutions that make my basement laboratory look like a child's chemistry set." She picked up her coffee cup again. "So, here's my friendly suggestion. Go back to your Galactic Council. Tell them exactly what happened here today, and strongly recommend that they add Earth to their Do Not Disturb list. Because if 3,000 of your best warships can be neutralized by one sleepy physicist in her pajamas, imagine what might happen if you actually manage to annoy us." The transmission ended. For several long minutes, the only sound on Vex 9's bridge was the gentle hum of emergency life support systems. "Sir," Glix whispered, "what do we do?" Vex 9 watched as his mighty flagship, along with every other vessel in the fleet, continued its involuntary journey away from the small blue planet. The quantum field propelling them was gentle but irresistible, like being carried along by a cosmic current. "We do exactly what the human suggested," he said quietly. "We go home, we report to the Council, and we pray to whatever deities still listen that humanity never decides to leave their solar system." 3 hours later, the entire Galactic Council fleet crossed the outer boundary of Earth's solar system. Immediately, their ship's power systems came back online, as promised. "Sir," reported the chief engineer over the comm, "all systems are fully operational." It's as if nothing ever happened, but something had happened. In the space of a single morning, the most powerful military force in the known galaxy had been outmaneuvered, outgunned, and ultimately outclassed by one human female drinking coffee in her kitchen. As they limped back toward Council space, a priority message arrived from the Galactic High Command. Admiral Thox Prime's voice carried a new note of uncertainty. "All vessels, maintain radio silence about today's events until we reach headquarters. The Council needs time to process this information." "Sir," Sub-Commander Kret asked hesitantly, "what do we tell them about our mission?" Vex 9 stared at the tactical display, where Earth appeared as a small blue dot growing smaller by the minute. "We tell them the truth," he said. "We tell them that we encountered a civilization that makes our most advanced technology look like primitive tools. We tell them that we were defeated without a single shot being fired, by an enemy who didn't even consider us worth fighting." He paused, remembering the casual way Elena had waved at their cameras. "And we tell them that the humans sent us home with a polite warning instead of obliterating us entirely, which means they're either incredibly merciful," his voice trailed off, "or incredibly dangerous," Kret finished quietly. "Exactly." As the fleet continued its retreat, Long-range sensors detected something that made every officer's blood run cold. Earth's energy readings were returning to normal baseline levels. The massive quantum field that had effortlessly disabled their entire armada was apparently so insignificant to human civilization that they'd simply turned it off and gone back to whatever they'd been doing before the interruption. "Glix," Vex 9 said slowly. "Send a coded message to all Council member species. Priority Alpha classification." "What should it say, sir?" Vex 9 closed his three eyes, trying to process the magnitude of what they'd just witnessed. Species 7834, designation Human, is to be classified as a Level 10 civilization effective immediately. All contact protocols are suspended indefinitely. Any vessel approaching their solar system without explicit human permission is to be considered either suicidal or criminally insane. He opened his eyes and looked at his crew. "And add a personal note from me. We just learned that humans consider the power to disable 3,000 warships to be a weekend hobby project. I strongly recommend that we never, ever find out what they consider to be serious military technology." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Somewhere behind them, on a small blue planet, Dr. Elena Vasquez finished her coffee, checked her email, and went back to work on her real project, a small device that could theoretically manipulate the fundamental forces of reality itself. She hummed quietly as she worked, completely unaware that she had just rewritten the balance of power in the galaxy. After all, she had a research paper to finish by Friday. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened exactly 72 hours after what historians would later call the coffee incident. Representatives from 417 species packed into the Great Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime, their various appendages, tentacles, and sensory organs all focused on the central holographic display. High Chancellor EPIC Omega, a towering crystalline being whose species had ruled the galaxy for over 10,000 years, activated the recording with visible reluctance. "Fellow council members," his voice resonated through translation matrices, "what you are about to witness represents the most significant threat assessment update in our recorded history." The hologram flickered to life, showing Elena Vasquez in her kitchen, looking supremely unbothered by the apocalyptic fleet surrounding her planet. "By the 7 moons of Craxus," whispered Representative Zal from the insectoid delegation. "She looks so ordinary." "That," said Admiral Thox Prime grimly, "is precisely the problem." The recording played through Elena's casual dismantling of their greatest military force. When it ended, the assembly hall erupted in a cacophony of clicks, growls, harmonics, and one particularly dramatic gasp from the gaseous Etherians. "Impossible," declared General Hex II of the War Machine Coalition. "Our quantum shielding should have prevented any external field manipulation." "Should have? Yes," Vex 9 replied from his position at the witness stand. "Unfortunately, the human female appears to have approached the problem from an angle our engineers never considered. Instead of trying to penetrate our shields, she simply turned off the universe around them." "Explain," Chancellor EPIC Omega commanded. Vex 9 activated his own holographic display, showing complex mathematical equations that hurt to look at directly. "According to our post-incident analysis, Doctor, Vasquez didn't attack our technology at all. She temporarily altered the fundamental constants of physics within our operational space. For approximately 4 minutes, the mathematical relationships that govern quantum field dynamics simply changed. The hall fell dead silent. She rewrote reality, Sub-Commander Kret added helpfully. Temporarily. like editing a document. Chancellor EPIC Omega's crystalline form darkened to a deep purple, indicating severe distress. Are you telling this assembly that a single human modified the laws of physics as a defensive measure? Well, Vex 9 said carefully. She also mentioned it was a hobby project. The Etherian representative began making sounds that roughly translated to, "Oh no, oh no, oh no," in 17 different languages simultaneously. "There's more," Admiral Thox Prime announced grimly. "Show them the surveillance footage from Sector 7. A new hologram materialized, showing Earth from a distance. At first glance, it appeared completely normal. Then the perspective shifted, revealing massive geometric patterns carved into the planet's ocean floors, each one precisely aligned with celestial mechanics that shouldn't have been visible to human technology. Our deep space reconnaissance detected these formations approximately 6 hours after our withdrawal, Thox Prime explained. Each pattern spans roughly 5,000 kilometers and appears to be some sort of massive quantum resonance array. "When were these constructed?" asked Representative Morrill, whose species prided themselves on their advanced surveillance capabilities. "That's the terrifying part," Vex 9 replied. "According to our timeline analysis, they were built during the 4 hours following our encounter. The humans carved continent-sized patterns into their ocean floor in less time than it takes most of our species to file a military requisition form." A collective shudder rippled through the assembly. "Furthermore," Thox Prime continued, "our long-range sensors have detected similar energy signatures beginning to appear on Earth's moon, and preliminary scans suggest construction has begun on their nearest planetary neighbor, Mars." Chancellor EPIC Omega's voice carried a note of barely controlled panic. "How many humans are involved in this construction project?" "Unknown," Vex 9 admitted, "but based on the coordination required and the speed of completion, we estimate the entire human population may be participating. 8 billion individuals working in perfect synchronization," whispered Representative Keth of the Hive Mind. "Collective, a species that considered coordinated thought their greatest achievement. How is that possible for a non-telepathic species?" "They appear to use something called the Internet," Kret explained. "It's a primitive communication network that somehow allows instant coordination across their entire planet." "Primitive?" Chancellor EPIC Omega's voice cracked slightly. "You're describing a planetary consciousness network?" "Yes, sir. Except they use it mostly for sharing pictures of small domestic animals and arguing about politics." The assembly sat in stunned silence as the implications settled in. "There's one more thing," Admiral Thox Prime said reluctantly. "Dr. Vasquez sent us a follow-up message." "Of course she did," muttered someone from the reptilian delegation. The hologram shifted again, showing Elena back in her kitchen, this time wearing what appeared to be protective goggles and holding a device that hurt to look at directly. "Hi again," she said brightly. "Elena here. I hope your trip home was pleasant. I wanted to follow up on our earlier chat because I realized I may have given you the wrong impression." She held up the device, which seemed to bend light around itself in geometrically impossible ways. "See, when I said that disabling your fleet was a hobby project, I wasn't entirely accurate. That was actually my daughter's science fair experiment. She's 8, by the way, and absolutely brilliant. Gets it from her father's side of the family. The color drained from every face, carapace, and energy field in the assembly. This," Elena continued, gesturing to the reality-bending device in her hands, "this is my actual hobby project. I call it a dimensional probability adjuster. Catchy name, right?" She pressed a button. For exactly 3 seconds, every star in the galaxy flickered. "Oops," Elena said, examining the device with mild concern. "Still working out a few bugs. Anyway, the point is, I wanted to make sure you understood that Earth really, truly, genuinely wants to be left alone. We're not interested in galactic politics, interstellar conquest, or joining your council. We just want to drink coffee, argue about sports, and occasionally reshape reality for fun." She set the device down carefully on her kitchen counter. "But," and here her voice took on a tone that made every hardened warrior in the assembly instinctively step backward, "if anyone decides to test our resolve again, they should know that my 8-year-old daughter just asked me if she could borrow my equipment for her next science project." The transmission paused as Elena appeared to listen to something off-camera. "Oh, and my neighbor Bob wanted me to mention that he's been working on something he calls a universal delete button in his garage. Bob's not even a scientist, he just repairs air conditioning units for a living. But apparently he got bored last weekend and decided to see if he could remove objects from existence entirely." Elena shrugged apologetically. "Humans are weird like that. Give us a problem, and we'll solve it. Give us free time, and we'll accidentally invent weapons of mass destruction. It's really quite embarrassing, honestly." The message ended. The assembly hall remained silent for a full minute before Chancellor Urix Omega slowly rose from his platform. "Motion to declare species 7834 a protected civilization under Article 847 of the Galactic Non-Interference Accords," he announced. "All in favor? 417 appendages, tentacles, claws, and energy fields shot up simultaneously." "Motion carried unanimously," the Chancellor declared. "Furthermore, I move to establish an exclusion zone of 50 light-years around the human solar system, with automatic death sentences for any vessel found within that boundary without explicit human permission." Another unanimous vote. Finally, Chancellor Urix Omega said, his crystalline form now a deep, worried blue, "I move to begin immediate research into defensive measures against quantum field manipulation, dimensional probability adjustment, and—" he consulted his notes with visible distress, "universal deletion buttons." As the assembly dispersed, small groups of representatives clustered together, speaking in hushed tones about the implications of what they'd witnessed. "Did you notice," Representative Morrill said quietly to his colleagues, "that the human female never actually threatened us? She simply demonstrated capability and politely asked us to leave." "Which," replied Representative Zayal, "makes her infinitely more terrifying than any conqueror we've ever faced." Meanwhile, on the bridge of his flagship, Commander Vex 9 was filing his final report when Glix approached with a puzzled expression. "Sir, our communications array is picking up something strange from Earth. Please tell me it's not another message from Dr. Vasquez," Vex 9 said wearily. "No, sir. It's music. Lots of it. And something called social media posts. The humans appear to be celebrating something they're calling Alien Appreciation Day." Vex 9 stared at his communications officer. "They're celebrating us?" "Well, sir, not us specifically. According to these posts, they're grateful that we visited peacefully and respected their boundaries. Many of them are expressing hope for future diplomatic relations and cultural exchange programs." "Cultural exchange?" Vex 9's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "We came here to destroy their planet." "Yes, sir. But according to these messages, many humans interpreted our departure as a sign of galactic courtesy, and interstellar respect for sovereignty. Vex 9 buried his head in his primary hands. They think we're the good guys. Apparently so, sir. There's also a rather large number of humans expressing disappointment that we left so quickly. Many wanted to chat about science and compare technological approaches. Of course they did, Vex 9 muttered. Of course, the species that can casually rewrite physics wants to have friendly conversations about it. As the fleet continued its journey home, carrying news that would fundamentally reshape galactic civilization, Doctor. Elena Vasquez finished washing her coffee cup and returned to her basement laboratory. She had a deadline to meet, after all. The International Committee on Theoretical Physics had requested her paper on practical applications of controlled reality manipulation by the end of the week. Elena smiled as she powered up her equipment. She hadn't mentioned to the aliens that the dimensional probability adjuster was actually her old project from graduate school. Her current research involved something far more interesting, a device that could theoretically allow instantaneous travel between parallel universes. She'd probably finish it by next Tuesday. After all, she had a dentist appointment on Wednesday, and she hated being late. High above her, the stars continued their ancient dance, blissfully unaware that the balance of cosmic power had just shifted forever in favor of a species that considered reshaping reality to be suitable entertainment for children's science projects. The galaxy, as they say, would never be the same. And somewhere in his garage, Bob Martinez paused in his work on the universal delete button, wondering if that slight humming sound meant he should probably add a few more safety features. He decided to worry about it tomorrow. The game was on, and his team was winning.